$50 a month for 20 years. Total out of pocket, $12,000. Account value at the end, $26,000. The other $14,000 showed up on its own. Nobody handed it to you. Nobody matched it. It grew while you were asleep, while you were stuck in traffic, while you forgot the password to the account. Now, here is the number on the other side, 57%. That is the share of American adults who do not personally own a single stock. Not one share, not a fractional slice, not through a brokerage, not through an index fund, nothing. The Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia published that number in September 2025, based on a survey of about 5,000 adults conducted in January of that year. 57 out of every 100 people are sitting this out entirely. The top reason they gave, 45%, said they do not have enough money to invest. 39% said they do not understand the stock market. And both groups are operating on outdated information about what it takes to start. That is not an insult. That is a measurement of how badly the information has failed them. April is National Financial Literacy Month. The Treasury Department put out a statement about it 11 days ago. But the math works the same in October and in February. And on a random Tuesday, when you are sitting in your car in a parking lot, wondering if you are behind, this is not a calendar event. This is arithmetic. And arithmetic does not expire. I am not a financial advisor. I am not going to tell you what to buy or when to buy it. I do not know your situation, your debts, your risk tolerance, your timeline. Everything here is education based on public data. What you do with it is yours. Here is what we are going to do. Start with the smallest number anyone would believe, $50, 1 month of skipping 4 dinners out, 1 canceled subscription, plus 1 fewer impulse buy. And follow that number through time, 1 variable at a time, until the final total either makes you angry, you did not start sooner, or makes you open a tab on your phone before this is over. The baseline, $50 a month, into a broad market index. The S&P 500 has averaged roughly 10% annually over the last 30 years in nominal terms. According to Fidelity and multiple index trackers, as of early 2026, adjust for inflation at approximately 3%, and the real return drops to about 7%. We will use 7. That is the conservative number. That is the number after inflation has already taken its cut. Year 1, you have put in $600. The account says $614, $14 of growth. That is not exciting. That is the point. Nobody posts that screenshot. Nobody makes a TikTok about $14. But $14 is not the product. $14 is the foundation for a machine that has not turned on yet. Year 5, you have contributed $3,000. The account reads about $3,580. $580 appeared from compounding, still modest, still invisible to anyone looking at your life from the outside. Nobody talks about years 1 through 5. They are the silent part, the part where the math is technically working, but the results look like a rounding error on your rent. Year 10, $6,000 contributed. The balance is about $8,650, $2,650 in growth. Now the machine is warming up, but you still have not crossed the line where growth outpaces contribution. You are still doing most of the work. And this is where most people quit, not because the math breaks, because the math is too slow. The dopamine system in your brain was not designed for 7% annual returns, compounding monthly. It was designed for the saber-toothed tiger and the berry bush. Delayed gratification at this scale is a modern invention that your nervous system has not downloaded the update for. Year 15, 9,000 contributed balance, approximately 15,800 growth, 6,800 growth, just past contribution. For the first time, the account earned more than you physically deposited. The money is now doing more work than you are. That is the crossing point. Most people never see it because they stopped at year 3. Year 20, 12,000 in account value, 26,000. 14,000 in pure growth, you more than doubled your money. $50 a month, the cost of 1 mediocre dinner for 12 times a year for 20 years. That is the base case. 1 variable, 1 contribution, 1 return rate, 1 timeline. Now we add the second variable, but here is the part that changes the entire picture. Contribution size, same 7%, same timeline, same starting point of 0. The only thing that changes is the monthly deposit. $100 a month instead of 50, 20 years. Total contributed $24,000. Account value $52,150 a month, $78,000. $200 a month, $104,000. The relationship is linear on the input side and exponential on the output side. Double the contribution does not double the outcome over long time horizons. It more than doubles it because every additional dollar enters the compounding engine earlier and works for longer. And here is where it gets personal. Every financial institution with a product to sell you has a structural incentive to make you feel like $50 is not enough. Not because it is true, because $50 does not generate meaningful fee revenue. The account minimum used to be $1,000. Some places made it $5,000. That was not a law of physics. That was a business decision designed to keep small investors out of the room. Today, a brokerage account can be opened with $1. Fractional shares exist at Fidelity, Schwab, and multiple other platforms. You can own a slice of the entire S&P 500 for the price of a sandwich. The door that used to require a $1,000 key now opens with a single coin. The barrier was never the math, the barrier was the lock, and someone finally removed it. Now, the third variable, time, this is the one nobody wants to hear. And it is the one that matters more than every other variable combined. Two people, same contribution, same return, different start date. Reese, 25 years old, living in Columbus, Ohio, working as a medical billing specialist. Salary, $48,000, credit score, 691, student loan balance, 22,000. Drives a 2019 Civic with a dent in the rear bumper that has been there for 2 years. Sets up an automatic transfer of $50 a month into a total stock market index fund through a brokerage app. Does not think about it again. The auto deposit runs on the 3rd of every month, right after the paycheck clears. Reese does this for 35 years. Total contributed $21,000. Account value at age 60, approximately $90,000. 69,000 of that is compound growth. Money that grew from money that grew from money. Now, take the same Reese, same job, same income, same $50 available, but starts at 35 instead of 25 years of contributions instead of 35. Total contributed 15,000 account value at age 60, approximately 40,000. The difference is $50,000, not because of skill, not because of market timing, not because of a hot stock tip from a coworker, because of 10 years. Reese, at 25, is exactly the kind of person the investment system claims to serve. Steady income, no missed payments, willing to start small, willing to wait. Here is what the system offered in return for the first 5 years. A screen showing a number barely different from the deposits. That is not a design flaw. That is a patience test disguised as a brokerage statement. 10 years of delay costs $50,000 on a $50 monthly contribution. That is not a metaphor. That is not a motivational poster. That is the output of a formula you can verify on any compound interest calculator published by the SEC, the FINRA Foundation, or InvestorGov. The inputs are public, the math is public, the result is public. It feels like standing in a grocery store parking lot, doing mental math about whether you can afford the name brand cereal this week. Meanwhile, a clock you cannot see is running a tab in the other direction. Now combine all three variables: contribution, return, time. $200 a month, 7% real return. 30 years, total contributed $72,000. Account value approximately $244,000. $172,000 in compound growth. Walk through it, $200 a month. That is $2,400 a year. For 30 years, that is $72,000 out of your pocket. The market, at its historical average after inflation, turns $72,000 into $244,000. The growth alone, $172,000, is almost 2.5 times what you put in. $500 a month, same rate, same 30 years, $180,000 contributed. Account value, $610,000, $430,000 in growth. $430,000, not from a lucky bet, not from a startup, not from inheritance, from $500 a month left alone for 30 years. 1% difference in fees changes everything. A fund charging 0.03% versus a fund charging 1.03% over 30 years on a $500 monthly contribution at 7% gross creates a gap of roughly $110,000. 1% 30 years over $100,000. That is not an opinion. That is arithmetic. The personal saving rate in America right now is 4%. That is the February 2026 number from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. 4 cents of every disposable dollar gets saved on a median household income of roughly $84,000. According to the Census Bureau, as of September 2025, 4% is about $280 a month. That is more than enough to start. It is more than enough to matter. And for 57% of the country, it is sitting in a checking account earning nothing, or it is gone before the month ends. Nobody failed here. The information failed. The 45% who said they do not have enough money to invest were told, for decades, that investing requires thousands of dollars and a financial advisor in a glass office. That was true in 1995. It has not been true for years. The 39% who said they do not understand the stock market were never shown the one calculation that matters: contributions times return rate times time. That is 3 inputs, not 33. The compound interest formula is one line of math. Future value equals monthly contribution multiplied by the quantity. 1 plus the monthly interest rate raised to the power of total months minus 1 divided by the monthly interest rate, one formula. Available on a free government website. It does not require a degree. It does not require a subscription. It does not require anyone's permission. Here is the final number: $50 a month, 7% real return, 40 years. Total contributed $24,000. Account value $131,700. $107,000 in compound growth from $50 a month, $24,000 in 130, $1,000 out. The gap between those two numbers is not talent. It is not luck. It is not access to information that used to be hidden. It is time in the market, which is the one resource that costs nothing to deploy and everything to waste. 24,000 in 130, 1,000 out. The distance between those two numbers is not a secret. It is a decision that compounds